everybody, it is the Lawn Gnome, and welcome back to your favorite segment over here on my channel, and that of course is Out of the Vault. If you are new, let me just say thank you and welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, and all of you who are returning, let's just say that I almost forgot that I was due to make an Out of the Vault video for July of 2025, of course talking about the 29th Pixar film, the newest edition in the library, Elio, starring Zoe Saldana and the great Brad Garrett, and it couldn't be more appropriate about the fact that I literally lost track and almost forgot to make this video this month. So, Elio is, of course, the new addition to the Pixar library, and boy, is there a story to tell. This movie was actually supposed to come out before the previous Disney Pixar film, which is Inside Out 2, but due to certain things going on in Disney corporate, I am guessing they decided to do the big switcheroo, and of course, we all know what happened with Inside Out 2. It became one of the highest grossing films of 2024, and one of the highest grossing Pixar films in history. So, Pixar and Disney as a whole have definitely been in a not-so-great place over the last couple of years, and boy, has Pixar been criticized in so many different ways, whether it is no original stories, enough with the reboots and sequels, do we need this movie, do we need this to happen, what's going on, what's this movie, wasn't it supposed to have certain undertones, what is going on with Pixar? The truth of the matter is I don't know, but I will say personally, as a person who has been going to see Disney Pixar films since the original Toy Story, unfortunately, having the gaps between because of the pandemic, I still managed to now go back to see a Disney Pixar film, good, bad, or indifferent. I know that when Elemental came out just a few years back, it was a movie that was not doing so well at the box office, but due to strong word of mouth, people went to go see it, and it actually ended up being quite successful. And I was hoping that the same would be for Elio, but unfortunately, it is not. Elio, however, is not a bad movie. I actually very much enjoyed it. I mean, it was definitely a new story that featured new characters, but the themes that are found in this movie are definitely nothing new. It's about finding your place in the world. Even though you are different, there's still going to be a place where you belong. And in the case of Elio, a tragic accident involving his family forces him to be taken under the wing of his aunt, who he has a very distant, broken relationship with, and she happens to be someone who works for NASA, monitoring space debris. And when he was very little, his aunt took him to a museum, and he happened to just wander off and stumble upon a exhibit about the satellite Voyager, about how it's out there trying to see, are we alone? And then, of course, Elio is absolutely obsessed about trying to find extraterrestrials because he feels he belongs with them and not on Earth, where he is not having his best life. And so, of course, he finds a way to connect with aliens, and oh boy, does the wackiness ensue. And I mean, this movie does get wacky from time to time, but it also is a very beautiful piece of work to look at when it comes to some of the alien creatures, as well as some of the backgrounds. It really is beautiful to look at. The story itself definitely has its moments. I definitely found myself enjoying it. I found myself laughing a lot. I thought that Elio was a very fun character. The relationships that he has with various characters are definitely very heartwarming, and they really do get you in the feels. And after I finished going to see that movie, I was actually saying to my wife, who went to see it with me, I really hope that word of mouth gets around in regards to this movie and people do go to see it. So, that unfortunately did not happen. Apparently, this is one of Disney Pixar's biggest budgetary losses in regards to films. But it is definitely not the worst Disney Pixar film I've seen. I have seen many that are below Elio, and I mean many. There's not just like one or two. There's got to be at least 5 or 6. But anyway, who is to blame in regards to this? Because after I went to see Elio, I did a little bit of digging, and I wanted to see what was going on with this movie. And some of the things that I found were enough to make me say wow, and enough to make me want to throw up in my mouth, because it's always the same thing. Politics, gender roles, etc., etc. The fact that there was the director who originally was supposed to put this film together, who left in the middle of the project because of creative differences and corporate pushback. And then there was the fact that this movie got absolutely no marketing. And I hate when that happens, because I have no idea why Disney Pixar wanted this movie to not be seen by many people. I mean, I said the same thing with Ironheart very recently. I really, somewhere deep down inside, think that Disney corporate purposely wanted this movie to fail for the purposes of pointing fingers and name-calling and causing controversy for clickbait. And if that ever is discovered to be the reason why a movie like Elio failed, once again, a very lighthearted, very charming movie, I would be extremely upset and probably never want to go see a Disney movie ever again, because I don't appreciate people who take certain actions for the purposes of causing controversy just for their own personal vendettas. That is immature, and that is wrong. And, you know, I would feel very shameful if I was the type of person that did that. But, again, the fact that this movie did not do well in the box office, now Disney Pixar is saying, you see, you wanted a new story, we gave you a new story, and you didn't like it, so now we're just going to focus on making sequels and prequels and reboots. Well, you know something? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, because out of all of the upcoming projects that Disney Pixar's got, I think the only one that is actually going to be successful is Incredibles 3, and that's only because of the fact that that movie deserves a third installment. But knowing that there's going to be a sequel to Coco, knowing that there's going to be a sequel to Ratatouille, knowing that there's going to be a fifth installment of Toy Story, you have to sit back and ask why. Because people didn't really like the fact that Toy Story got a fourth installment because it didn't need one, and not only that, they got Lightyear, which was, again, a fun movie, had its moments, but it just wasn't needed. Inside Out 2, on the other hand, definitely a sequel people wanted, but I didn't have a single issue with Elio. I went in with positive expectations, and I got what I paid for. I really thought that this was a very cute, very charming movie, one that a lot of people can learn great things from. But the fact that we are now living in a world where either something needs to have a modern spin or someone has to put their own personal politics into a film or any other entertainment project, now we're getting to the point where corporation bigwigs are finally taking their thumbs out of their you-know-whats and saying, not everybody likes this kind of stuff. So we basically have to tell all of these creators that are trying to do things that may not sit well with total audiences that you just cannot do it. And it's upsetting. It really is. And because of Elio's failure, I don't really know what the future holds for Disney Pixar outside of the movies that are coming out. I mean, look, I knew that something bad was going to happen when John Lasseter was thrown out of Disney. And as much as I respect the people that were alongside him since the beginning, like Andrew Stanton and Pete Docter, they just don't have what John Lasseter has. I'm sorry. They really do not. And I pray for good things to come from Pixar and good things to come from Disney. But I am going to say, and you're going to listen to me, guys, I know you are loyal followers, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Elio's a good movie. It's an original story with themes that we already know, but it works. It really does. And there are even some moments where they actually do push the bar a little bit, and it kind of fits in certain ways, and I really appreciated that, and I thought that it was part of the film's charm. And Elio is such a cute character. I think he really was enjoyable and entertaining. So I personally want to see Elio again, and I am going to get this movie on Blu-ray when it comes out. And I'm going to give Elio a very admirable 3.5 stars out of 4. Yeah, I'm giving it a very high rating because there is rewatchability, there is purchasability, and I think that most people who are just refusing to see this movie are not realizing what they are not giving themselves a chance to experience. I think the other problem is the fact that this is a movie that is not necessarily for kids. Young kids. And I think that that is also one of the biggest problems that animation as a whole is dealing with, and that is animation studios seem to be wanting to cater to the adults that grew up with all of these properties and make movies for them, and not necessarily make movies for new generations. I mean, you can see that without a doubt in movies like Soul and Turning Red. Good movies, by the way. Soul is one of my absolute favorites, but it's not for young kids. That's all my thoughts on Elio, everybody. Please leave a message in the box below. Let me know if you saw Elio, and let me know what you thought of Elio. And you know what? I'm going to say it too. Did you see Elemental in theaters? Did someone tell you you needed to see it at some point, and did you like that movie as well? I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.